Senator Elizabeth Warren became the first 2020 presidential candidate to explicitly call on the House to begin impeachment proceedings. Here she is on the campaign trail in New Hampshire earlier today.
We cannot be an America that says it is okay for a president of the United States to try to block investigations into a foreign attack on our country or investigations into that president's own misbehavior. So I have called on the House to initiate impeachment proceedings.
But the House Judiciary Committee controls the process of impeachment, and while Chairman Nadler plans to call Robert Mueller himself to testify publicly before the committee and has already subpoenaed the full, unredacted version of the report, to which the Justice Department responded, saying Nadler's subpoena was premature and unnecessary. Nadler has stopped short as well of calling for impeachment.
I believe he committed obstruction of justice, yes, but it's not up to me. It's up to
You're the chairman of the Judiciary Committee.
Yeah,
you can open impeachment proceedings.
Well, we have to, but we're not there. We have to now, because the special process, because Barr misled the country, we have to hear from Barr, which we will on May 2nd. We have to hear from Mueller and ask him a lot of questions. We have to hold hearings and hear from other people.
Meanwhile, the president, who's down at his resort in Florida for the holiday weekend, using Twitter to brand the entire Mueller investigation, quote, the greatest witch hunt in U.S. political history and a burden on taxpayers. So it's up to the Democrats right now what they might do next, as we were just talking about. We're lucky to have with us three members of the House, our Tri-Caucus panel. Congressman Ted Lieu of California, member of the Judiciary Committee, representing the Congressional Asian Caucus. Congresswoman Joyce Beatty of Ohio, vice chair of the Black Caucus. And Texas Congressman Vicente Gonzalez from the Hispanic Caucus. Thank you, all three. Representative Lieu,
thank you.
What should we be looking forward from Democrats going forward? You heard the introduction. There are certainly at least two camps, right, that are saying, yes, move forward quickly and expediently with the impeachment process. Others saying, let's wait to get more information first. Nadler, Chairman Nadler, right there saying, let's hear from Barr and Mueller first.
Thank you, Richard, for your question. It's an honor for me to be on your show with Representatives Gonzalez and Beatty. If you look at the Mueller report, Robert Mueller very clearly basically said it's Congress's job to look at the obstruction of justice facts and to make a determination. And that's what the House Judiciary Committee is going to do. We're going to hold hearings, interview witnesses under oath, gather additional documents, and then get the full unredacted Mueller report. And then at the end of the day, we're either going to clear Donald Trump or we're not. And if we don't, then all options should remain on the table, including impeachment.
Representative Beatty, do you agree with Representative Lieu on this? And how do you see the two sides there on the Democratic side as they are looking at either to move forward with impeachment more steadily or more forcibly or more or faster or to slow go it?
Thank you, Richard, and I also would like to thank my colleagues for being here. I think what you're going to see is Democrats moving forward. After having just a few days to review the 400-plus pages, it is very clear that this president was wrong, immoral, corrupt, unethical and unpatriotic. I think you're going to see the Democrats, and I'm very pleased to be vice chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. We know that when we look at the Oversight and Investigation Committee, Congressional Black Caucus member and chair Elijah Cummings is represented there. Joining Ted Lieu on the Judiciary and the chair, we have the current chairwoman of the Congressional Black Caucus and the former chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, Congressman Cedric Richmond. I think what you're going to see us ask for what the American people want. They want him removed from office, but they also want us to have transparency and they want clarity. So I am looking forward to having AG Barr subpoenaed. I'm looking forward to getting more information from Mueller, because I don't think you can make that final decision until you have full transparency, and certainly we know what Barr did to that report, and we're not going to stand for it to be whitewashed. That I can clearly tell you.
Representative Gonzalez, what clearly can you tell us to build on your fellow representative there from the Tri-Caucus? What is it that might be a halfway point? Perhaps still have the hearings, but no impeachment. That's been discussed. And if there is no impeachment process, I would ask you, does that mean that you're signing off, not you, but that Congress is signing off on the behaviors that have been reported in Mueller's investigation?
Thank you, Richard, for having us. Well, I believe the American people have spoken. They want to see a complete copy of the Mueller report. Congress overwhelmingly voted for 420 to 0, asking for a complete copy of the report. That was a bipartisan vote. So members on both sides of the aisle, and clearly the American people, want to see the full report. Now, should we go all the way to the point of beginning an impeachment proceeding, we got to think of the costly and damaging process that is for our country. And we're just a little over a year from the next election. I think that the easiest impeachment for the president at this point may just be voting him out of office, which I believe is going to happen next November. But we should get to the bottom of this. We need to bring AG Barr over. We need to talk to Mueller. We need to ask some pointed questions and get to the bottom of what they know and what they found. And ultimately, the American people deserve to know and want to know. Members of Congress have top security clearance. They should have a copy of this report, even if it's not made public. I think members of Congress, especially in the Judiciary Committee and in the Intelligence Committee, should have this complete report and should be privy to know what's in it and be ready to ask some pointed questions to people who may be responsible in wrongdoing. But as far as going, preaching, asking for an impeachment this early on, I think it's a little premature. And also, we need to think of how far we are from the 2020 election. We're right around the corner, and that might be the easiest way to get rid of the president.
And on that note, since you did mention the Judiciary Committee, back to your good friend Ted Lieu, Representative Lieu, if you look at some of the polling out there, folks aren't necessarily in support of an impeachment process. You can see this poll coming out for Iowa Democrats, 51% saying not important, 38% saying yes, that is important. So as you move forward, Representative, on the Judiciary Committee, and you mentioned Barr and Mueller, what are the questions that you want to ask them that'll help you answer these folks in that poll that say, hey, it's not important?
So one of the reasons we're going to be holding these hearings on obstruction of justice, abuse of power, and other potential crimes of Donald Trump and his associates is to educate the American people on what happened. And I agree with Joyce Beatty. When you look at this Mueller report, some of what Donald Trump did may have been crimes, some may not have been, but none of it is okay. This is corrupt, collusive, obstructive behavior, and we need to explain to the American people what happened and how to make sure this doesn't happen again. At the same time, we want to be focusing on issues that move the American family forward, such as healthcare, infrastructure, and getting rid of corruption. And let's not lose sight of the fact that one of the most important things Bill Barr is doing right now is trying to take away your health care by suing to eliminate the entire Affordable Care Act.
Staying on the Mueller report, all 448 pages here, Representative Beatty, one of the calls that come from the report, hey, look at our elections, look at our election systems, look at the security that's around it. In Congress, you're responsible for it. What would you like to see your party now, of course, in control of the House? What would you like them to do based on what we've learned from the report?
I can tell you we're already one step ahead of that. Speaker Pelosi has already appointed a committee, and it's full in action with Congresswoman Marcia Fudge through the Office Administration Committee on looking at the voters' rights. Because what we know is part of his reasons for wanting to interfere with the election system is because it takes away the votes. And I can tell you that Democrats right now don't want a two America. What we want to make sure is that people have their rights to vote and that it's protected. They also want us to make sure that we are protecting the Constitution. And I can tell you, when we do that, we have a greater victory. We want to remove him from office by gaining back our democracy and electing a Democrat president so we can have quality and affordable health care. That's what people call me about every day. They call me about jobs and the economy and housing. They want to make sure that we are fighting for them. And I can tell you, in our election process, in putting safeties in with cybersecurity, Democrats are for the people.
One of the concerns here, Representative Gonzalez, you're from a southern state, another southern state, some would call it, some don't, Florida. In the report that came out that their election system was compromised, right? I know you're from Texas, but I was talking about Florida. That's the report that at least was in the Mueller investigation. Are you concerned then in your state that you might also
absolutely.
have the possibility of
we
compromise?
certainly need to be on high alert this next election. We need to be on high alert this next election. We need to be looking for foreign intrusion of other countries, not just Russia, who want to get here and sway local elections in the United States of America. And be very cautious moving forward and continue this investigation that we're talking about. I just don't know that impeachment is the best and fastest option and the least painful. We are dealing with massive problems in this country right now. I have 68,000 refugees cross my border this past month. I think we can't lose focus of what's happening down here and resources and so many other problems in America, taking people health care as a #1 issue here in our country, and so many other things that we should be focused on that I'd hate to get distracted with the process of an impeachment. But I would like to get to the bottom of what happened. And I think we need a complete copy of the Mueller report. And I think that Mr. Mueller and Mr. Barr need to come talk to us and answer some questions that the Congress is very concerned about moving forward. And that's what I think a lot of the American people want. And I'm speaking for myself. I'm not speaking for the Hispanic caucus, by the way, but I want to make that clear. This is the way I feel personally about what's happening right now on Capitol Hill.
Thank you. Representatives from the Asian, Black, and Hispanic caucus, our tri-caucus panel today. Ted Lieu, Joyce Beatty, Vicente Gonzalez. Thank you all three, and have a good Easter tomorrow.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.